For criminal liability to be imposed, there must typically be a voluntary act, an intentional act. And so that's why you have cases like People v. Newton, where the defendant claimed that the defendant who shot a police officer, by the way, and killed the officer, claimed that he did so as a reflex, an unconscious reflex, after he was shot himself. And he claimed that he wasn't thinking. It wasn't an intentional act. He was acting out of reflex. And on the other hand, you have People v. Cena. That's a case where a driver had an epileptic seizure and killed 4 children and was actually convicted of negligent homicide. Now you might ask, why did that happen? And the answer to that is not because of the drivers losing control of the vehicle. That was unintentional. But what was intentional was that in that particular case, if you read the case, you'll see that the driver knew that he suffered from this condition, from epilepsy, and that he might have a seizure like this, and something like that could happen. So that's why the driver was convicted, because of that act, that knowing act, not the unconscious act of losing control of the vehicle. Another interesting case is that of Ken Parks, who is known as the sleepwalking killer, and that's because he was sleepwalking. He actually did more than walk. He drove for 14 miles to his in-laws' house and committed some very grisly acts there, all while unconscious, according to him and according to his defense attorney. And I suggest that you watch the videos I have linked here about that, because they're very interesting, and see what you think, if you think he was guilty or not. But that was his claim, that was his defense, that he was unconscious when he drove the 14 miles and engaged in these grisly acts. And that's a defense if it can be proven, or rather if the jury can be convinced that the state didn't prove its case, that the act was voluntary or intentional.